You often see this when the legal stakes are high for an organization or there's potential legal action that they're facing. In a crisis, they'll communicate in a very legalese kind of way that can seem really cold, unsympathetic, and inoculatory. Like, hey, we don't want to say too much in case it makes us vulnerable to additional legal risk. But they get graded on that. And who watches that? Well, the public, their stakeholders, certainly the media, and absolutely lawmakers and folks in the legal realm. So there has to be a balance between the legal risks and the reputation of the organization and the public perception of how they are handling and communicating about this crisis. Mach 1, having lived through and successfully steered through a lot of those types of crises, developed a curriculum for organizations that help them identify where they're vulnerable, develop processes and messaging, identify spokespeople, train them and arm them with that messaging, and just create clear policies and procedures in a crisis that leave no ambiguity so that they can get to work immediately if that crisis hits and mitigate with the eye on moving on. What a lot of great organizations do and what we help organizations design is a response that even if you aren't able to say exactly what we're going to do, you communicate this. We're on it. We get that this is serious. We're putting all of our attention around managing this, and we're very sympathetic to anyone who's been affected by this. We're going to communicate and manage as transparently as we can so that all of us can move on swiftly and efficiently. Now, there's not a lot of substance to that, but it does communicate the sentiment that we appreciate what's happening and we're with anyone who's been affected by it. And those things are extremely important. The Mach 1 group has designed a curriculum that is a comprehensive exercise that allows companies to identify their top risks and build response scenarios around them. We also look at when is it a crisis? Because quite often something really doesn't rise to that level and there's no need to go Mach 1. So we also help them focus on building the team that's going to manage the crisis and the team that's going to communicate about that. Those groups have to be able to do their work at the same time. One can't slow the other down, or there's a risk that the public doesn't hear all the great work you're doing. You have to beat the clock. We also look at best messengers for each scenario. Sometimes it's the CEO, but sometimes the CEO needs to be managing the crisis and you're better off putting another spokesperson forward. So we help companies identify that in advance. And then we also look at case studies. Who's done this well? What lessons can we learn from those organizations that maybe didn't handle a crisis so well? It's a soup to nuts, comprehensive approach to crisis planning.